My name is Jim Mathews. I am a classroom teacher at a high school. Our high school is a place-based high school that also focuses on democratic principles and as well as project-based learning. So the high school that I work at there are about 120 students there, and the three core pillars of the school are place-based learning, project-based learning, and democratic participation. And democratic participation involves both having students be more involved and having more choice and voice in what happens at the school itself, but also in the broader community. I think there are two different types of projects. So one is these larger projects where a group of students and teachers are working together to study a particular topic or engage in a line of inquiry. So an example of that might be a group of students who recently studied watershed in this area, and they studied a local creek, the Black Earth Creek. And from that they were learning things about the history of the area, they were learning things about the ecological systems and also the cultural systems in the area. And in that particular course, the students then divided into smaller groups. So one group, for example, did a project on bank restoration and trying to clean up the creek. Another one did some more work where they were actually doing interviewing of local fly fishermen and studying the impact and how the ecological system has changed how people are using the creek. There's also a project where they're straightening the creek out to make it closer to what it was historically, and some kids did a project on that. So ARIS stands for Augmented Reality Interactive Storytelling. But what ARIS is it's a platform that has both a client on one end that allows people to play things that other folks have designed, and an editor which allows you to create things. And what I'm doing with ARIS is I'm walking out in the physical environment, and it allows me to create games or play games, or things like situated documentaries, which are films that take place out in the real world. I can also create a tour very easily. So you can do these things with ARIS. You can build situated documentaries, you can build tours, you can build games with it. So I primarily use ARIS in my own classroom and in working with youth in two main ways. One of them is that there are times where I do design things, and when I design them, I'm primarily trying to design experiences, whether they're tours or games or situated documentaries, that engage young people with local place and thinking differently or experiencing things differently in a local place. An example, one of the early ones that I designed within trying to actually formally teach through these technologies was a situated documentary called Dow Day. The idea of Dow Day is that you play as a reporter and you go back into 1967 and you are investigating a series of protests that took place on campus at UW. It's always difficult because people come from so many different contexts and they have different constraints in their classroom. So for some people it might be I don't have access to technology. One of the things that I've always found and have encouraged people to do is to try to find whatever way you can in order to just get up and running and get started doing it. Don't wait for the perfect project. To begin just experimenting and playing around and seeing where you get traction. The second thing I think is really important is to use your students as resources. I think in some ways, very often, teachers still feel like they have to be the ones with the answers, that they need to know what the learning trajectory is going to be. And I think there's sort of a shift, particularly with some of these technologies, that some students have more time to play around and learn them than we do because of all the other things that we have going on. And building up students' capacity to both learn these things but also to teach it to other people, I think, is really important.